All right, welcome to another episode of the Superior Man podcast. I am joined today by someone very, very special. Not only a good friend of mine, but also he's been a great mentor of mine, someone who I've learned greatly from. That I think if you are trying to become a superior man, this is the guy that you should be listening to. This is the guy that you should be learning from as well. So, Austin, what's going on? Are you in
What's going
Colombia
on, man?
right now?
Yeah, I'm Colombia. It's pretty nice. Got a new apartment. Just moved in, so I'm a little bit sleepy because it's not like totally adjusted yet. But yeah, I'm Colombia with my girlfriend and my two dogs.
A
Just chilling.
Biggie Smalls poster behind you.
Yeah.
Dude, I did a podcast recently with my other friend, and he had this massive poster, and I feel like no, I'm fucking missing something. I got to get something behind me too. Everybody has a poster. Cool. So, for everyone who doesn't know who Austin is, I wanted you to do kind of like a quick intro as to what you do, who you are, and how you got started into what you're doing right now.
Yeah. So my name's Austen Summers. I'm a guy. I'm a person. My pronouns are he, him. And yeah, I'm a dating coach. I'm similar to Mo Bassi. Yeah, so like he's one of the only people I actually respect in the industry as well. But yeah, so quick 5 second summary. I was, suicidally depressed. My mom died, my stepdad left. I wasn't raised in the most loving household. Had suicidal depression for 6 years. Didn't really develop properly, I think, because I was on a vegan diet for a long time, and I just didn't socialize much because of the depression. Yeah, so then I was, I had to start from scratch when I was about, 19. I found out about game, and I was so excited to learn about that. And I got into self-development, got into game, traveled to Europe, did game every single day, free solo traveling, just constant growth. Came back, and then I started assisting a guy named On the Signals, and yeah, worked for free for a few years, and became a business partner with him ultimately, and then started my own thing. And yeah, so I've taught 4 continents now, some like 23 countries, and yeah, so basically who I am, what I do.
Amazing. You threw a lot of stuff in there that I wanted to dig a little bit deeper into. You said, you used to be suicidally depressed, then vegan diet and all these things. So why don't we start there? Why don't we start from the moment Austin was suicidally depressed, felt like he had all these different mental problems.
Let's start on a happy note,
Yeah. What, what,
yeah.
what basically got you out of that? What mindset shifts did you have to make? What did you have to do? What were the
Yeah.
specific steps that you took in order to get from a place of suicidal depression to now, I'm assuming, a very happy life? You live with your girlfriend in Colombia, you have thriving business, etc.
Yeah. So I like to think of things in a holistic sense. So in terms of, multiple angles, I don't like to think of things as just like, it's just the mindset. It's just the nutrition. It's just the action you take. Like it's obviously a combination of anything, and any high level performance coach, whether it's for sports or business or whatever, they tell you everything matters, right? So in terms of mindset, I want to talk to the person out there that's like, they're stuck. They feel like they're in this dark hole. You can day by day slowly improve your mindset and the thoughts looping in your head. So I had constant looping negative thoughts, just constantly like, you're a fuck up, you're never going to be anything, you're a piece of shit. And I had people who were close to me in my life, family members, who would tell me this. And what do you do when you're growing up? You tend to believe what the adults are telling you, especially someone who's close to you, right? So then those thoughts were looping in my own head. And what I did is I slowly thought, you know what, let me think 1% positive today. And the next day, 1% more. And it was just like, if you should think of everything as a small win, right? If you had dark thoughts 100% of the day and then it's 99%, that's a win. You're moving in the right direction. You don't need perfection right away. You just need to get a little bit better, right? It's called Kaizen, right? That art of constant improvement. So in terms of the mindset, yeah, just forcing myself to stop the positive thought, be aware of it, and then think something more positive. Another huge thing was meditation for me, because it gives you space when you before you think, and it also gives you time to ponder, like from a third party perspective, like is my brain like saying the right thing? Is this productive for my life? It gives you those questions that really help you. Whereas, if you're just stuck in it, then, there's not much that you can do to get out of it, but, it gives you a little bit of extra help. Another thing was, I quit veganism and the vegetarianism, which if you look up like studies, it's highly correlated to mental issues. And a lot of that is because you don't have, for example, the myelin of your brain, which is like goes around axons and stuff like this, it goes around the neurons. That's built with saturated fat. And if you don't have enough saturated fat, you can't build that. You can't build testosterone. So, yeah. Anyway, there's a couple of things with that. I don't want to go super deep into that, but the vegan diet is deficient in things. And I think, I have some close friends who are vegan, and I support the fact that they think it's good for the animals, even though if you look at it, it's not. Dude, I don't know. I just can't with veganism anymore. It's like I was vegetarian and vegan for 18 years. So I feel like it's almost like I'm black and I can talk about black issues, or something like this. It's like I can talk shit about it because, it was in my life for so long. And yeah, just.
Were you born with vegetarianism and veganism?
So I was eating like a standard American diet until I was about 2 or 3, but I kept getting ear infections and problems and stuff. So my mom's like, okay, let's cut out meat and dairy and eggs and everything and see if that helps. And my problems went away. But that's the catchy thing with this. That's like kind of the trap, is if you switch from standard American diet, processed foods, seed oils, inflammatory bullshit, to anything else that's somewhat natural foods, you're going to get success, right? But the trick is, we are not herbivores, we're omnivores. We evolved to eat meat. So you have so many processes in your body that depend on eating not just meat, but animal products in general. So saturated fat builds cholesterol, which builds testosterone. Hair issues, right? You had hair issues when you were on a vegan diet. Like vegans, common things, they have hair issues. Their teeth will literally fall out, especially people who follow raw fruitarian diets, right? Their like teeth are falling out, their hair's falling out. And when you start it, they're like, we got all these doctors, Dr. Greger, Dr. this, Dr. that, Dr. that. And then when you go, oh, I'm actually quitting because of my health problems, they're like, veganism was never about your health. It's about the animals. It's like so, and I just don't like things that are inherently cultish or religious. So even in self-development or dating coaching, we've seen people who have like a cult-like following, or you can think of certain, what's it called? CrossFit, veganism, social justice warriors. Like there's so many different groups that just because most smart people will think their way out of religion, right? But they often fall into other things that are similar to the religion. They're just because we have these religious spiritual tendencies as humans. And yeah, I don't know. You're going to say something.
It's funny you mentioned veganism, because I was vegan for 4.5 years. And that is the trap. The trap is that the first year you'll feel great, or the first 2 years you'll feel great because you're switching your diet to something more natural. But it takes time for your body to catch up to all the deficiencies. And that's when I started losing it. I'm still trying to grow back. It's starting to actually grow back now that I'm eating a regular paleo diet. But I still have some parts of my hair missing that I'm still trying to deal with. Not to mention, when I did a blood test a few years ago, my doctor was almost shocked that like there was literally almost zero cholesterol in my body, both good and bad. The bad cholesterol was non-existent. The good cholesterol was also non-existent, which meant my testosterone was taking a big hit. So it's funny that you mentioned that. So for you, how did you get to a point where you had to challenge your beliefs? Because I know a lot of people hold these beliefs so strongly, whether it's veganism, CrossFit, anything that they've believed for so long. And we deal with this on a daily basis with people who get into the dating industry, and they have such strong beliefs with, oh, I'm too ugly, it'll never work for me, or oh, I'm too tall, it'll never work for me. So how are you able to get to a point where you're like, no, I need to challenge my beliefs and actually start to think independently? And what actually was the process like that? Was it just a bunch of research?
So I kind of like, I don't know if you're this way as well, but I'm like a high dopamine person. So I like new experiences. And it was right around the time where I was like, putting that idea in my mind, like I want to travel the world and I think it's possible. And then I thought to myself, if I'm going to go to all the countries in the world, I'm not going to get the full experience of life if I'm not eating the foods of that country. There's no society in human history that's vegan. So you're basically not even going to be eating the food of the place that you're traveling to. So that was one thing. And then another thing was I was around the time where I was just questioning a lot of things. So when I was around 16, I found some videos and went deeper into like atheism. And I was so, at that time, I almost was mad at my family for bringing me up Christian because it's not true. Like all these religions are just made up, and a lot of them have great parts of it, right? There's a lot of self-development embedded, especially in Protestantism and Christianity. There's so many like self-development concepts and stories and ideas in all religions, which definitely help people. And there's definitely the social aspect of being part of a community that believes that. But it's just not true. At the end of the day, it's made up. It's like fan fiction almost or whatever. But so at that time I was mad. I was like, why did my family lie to me? But then I realized they didn't lie to me. They actually do believe it. Yeah, and they just thought that was a good thing to bring me up in. So they brought me up in that. I was also brought up in vegetarianism, so I started to question that. And yeah, I looked more into it, and I'm a huge debate person. So I love like exploring like what is the best evidence of X, Y, and Z, and then debating it. And like I have accounts on debate sites where I literally type out things, and people poke holes in anything you say. So yeah, it was a combination of those things. Yeah, I don't know, just a lot of research, I guess.
You cut out for a sec, but I got the end of it. So do you think that it's necessary for someone to keep questioning their beliefs over and over again? And when do you stop questioning your beliefs? When do you go like, okay, this is good for me and I need to stay here?
Yeah, so I like the saying, it's good to keep an open mind, but not so much that your brain falls out. So like, it's good to like be open to new ideas, but and the pinnacle of intelligence, the defining characteristic of intelligence is that you can see an event or an idea from multiple different sides. So for example, I can argue for veganism better than vegans can, right? I can argue the opposite side better than they can. So it's about seeing things from different perspectives. And I don't think you should ever stop questioning your beliefs, but sometimes it's inevitable that they become, part of who you are, right? Like gravity, gravity is, we understand it, and we just assume it's going to work, but, and we should assume it's going to work, I guess. But there's some beliefs that become stronger and stronger over time. But dude, the thing that scares the shit out of me is people who go their whole lives believing something, like believing canola oil is healthy or bread is healthy or something like this. And they're 80 years old. They've been, you're living a lie. They're essentially like living with false beliefs. And that is something that makes me like disgusted. Like the fact that I could be 65 years old and be doing something completely wrong my entire life. So for example, I'm a big believer, free market capitalism is the best way to run a society. It's the best method. If you're having spontaneous order, people working together, forming voluntary interactions, voluntary relationships, such as, dating, who they, spend time with, who they do business with, all that's amazing. I think when you force people to do things, it's when you get a lot of bad consequences. But I recently changed my mind on this. Sure, free market capitalism is the best way to run a society, but or to build a civilization, but is building a civilization even good? Right? Where I'm in a place where there's air pollution. If you look at Mexico City has polluted air, water, and food. The food makes you throw up. You can't drink the water. If you drink it, you'll be sick. You get disgusted if you brush your teeth with it or take a shower with it. The air is so toxic you could barely even see. So how fucked up is the human species that we are burning things into the air that we need to take into our lungs to survive? So these are some other questions. And another example is agriculture. Agriculture destroys the soil and leads to desertification everywhere in the world.
Yeah, that's a different, it's like a second perspective of seeing things. So why do you think people spend so much of their life believing one thing? Like, do you think it's just easy for them? Because, dude, sometimes I'll talk to, like, let's say my dad or, like, my parents, and they're in their 60s, they're old as fuck, and, like, it's almost like when I question their beliefs, they're like, you know what? We don't even want to think of that because it's just easy for us now to continue holding this belief. Do you think it's just a matter of convenience?
Yep, just easy and comfort, because it is not enjoyable to be told you're wrong. Right? What does your ego want? You're right. You're the best. You're sexy. You're the fucking smartest, coolest person in the world. When you're living a lie or you're believing something that's not true, and then you find out and someone tells you that you're wrong, it does not feel good. It also is very painful and very energy consuming to think about things. And not everyone has time. Think about the average person with a job, with maybe a wife, kids, etc. They don't have that much time to sit down and go, you know what, let me spend 5 hours to think about this belief that I've held for these years. Right? And also a lot of beliefs, even if they're not true, they help bond you to a group. So like drinking alcohol. For me, I don't drink. I don't really judge people who do. But think about the fact that so many people drink, which destroys their health or their testosterone, or leads them to violence or death, or etc. And they just do it because they want to be accepted as part of the group, right? And that's why religions, with how they treat apostates, people who leave the faith, they treat them horribly. They excommunicate them so they can't go into heaven. They cut them off from their family. Like, for Scientology, that's it. Like, they get excommunicated, just done. You don't see your family for the rest of your life.
That's intense. But also it builds, do you think there's a part of religion that helps? Dude, I remember I went to, what was it called? It was like Next Level something. It was like this religious.
Next Level Trainings?
Not Next Level Trainings. That was actually pretty good. But it was, it was some like Christian religious thing. And you go in there and it's like they're basically throwing a party. And it's epic. You're like, holy shit, there's so much energy. It's like a Tony Robbins seminar. And by the end of it, the pastor or whatever is going like, if you want to care for people, put your hands up. So there I am putting my hand up because I was trying to learn from my mentor, and he's like a super Christian dude. So I'm putting my hand up. He's like, if you love people, keep your hands up. If you do this, and I'm like, dude, I'm not liking this loop, this thought loop of like, yes, yes, yes. And then at the end, like, if you believe in Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, keep your hand up. And I'm like, oh shit, I can't. And then I'm holding my hand up, and these people like are now swarming me, going like, oh my God, congratulations. They're like giving me books and gifts. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And my mentor at the time like goes like, congratulations, brother. And I'm like, yo, what did I just join? Like, what the fuck is going on? But do you think there's a part of like religion maybe that actually helps people or gets people over maybe a negative life or negative consequences from their life or beliefs that can be positive?
So, dude, I've spent more time in church than most people. Like, I used to play in the band Wednesday and Sunday every week. And there is Protestantism doesn't really follow the Bible as much. It's more just like this is how I put it. It's like 50% self-development content, 50% useless filler. That's basically what it is. And yeah, a lot of them they're very mild, right? They're just like, it's about a relationship with Jesus, and like, it's just all like chill, and Jesus smoke weed with you, and like, which is cool. Like, if that helps you, I fucking go for it, right? It's just, my obsession is with truth. That's why I'm like explorer type. That's why I question everything. I don't give a fuck really about how it makes me feel. I'm just completely obsessed with the truth of things.
That makes sense. So what were some truths that you found in your life regarding relationships, regarding dating, regarding business, the big areas of your life that made a huge difference, or some truths that you found out that like propelled your life to the next level?
I think the biggest takeaway for anyone is that you should always be aware of what the other person needs to win and how the other person feels.
Mm.
And so many people, like, you probably get DMs all the time. Hey bro, got a question for you. Hey bro, this. Hey bro, that. Just people just leech. Like
Right.
all their mindset is like this 1 meter area around me. What can I just take into it, right? Whereas the people who win the most are actually the people who help others win the most, right?
Sure.
Who's the richest person in the world? Jeff Bezos. He helps more people than anyone, right? You're just like, I want something now. I don't want to go to the store. I just want the best quality thing. I want to know, make sure it's good, right? Yeah, it's thinking about how the other person feels and if it's enough win for them, right? So before anyone of you guys message me or message Mo, think, is this going to help this person win?
Mm.
So what I would do, like, for example, if I had zero resources and I wanted to help someone and I wanted to get a question off of them, I'd go, hey man, I've been thinking about this question a lot lately. I would love to get your input on it. Here's some ideas that you could put in a video, and you can make a video about it. And then I think it would do really well for your channel because not many people have covered this. Like,
Right.
I'm back. And yeah, like that's thinking of the win for the other person, or working for free, right? Or finding some way of value. I remember, Mo, you used to like drive Vadim and me different places. Like when we used to go out, you'd be like, I'll swing by, grab you. Vadim would like to drink, so it's good to have another form of transportation there.
That makes sense. So it's like almost in order to become the most high value version of you, you need to be willing to first give the value before you take.
Yeah.
By the way, that food looks fucking great.
That's like plantains and ghee and eggs with some veggies.
Do you have a personal chef right now?
That's just my girlfriend.
Oh, got it. I know you were saying a personal chef in like Colombia is like cheap as hell. They make your food, they make it delicious. Like,
yeah, it's like $400 a month, and then plus the groceries, and which is cool. But dude, I don't like having random people coming to my house, and then there's like noises. And did you let the chef in? It's so annoying. Okay.
yeah.
Dude, the best thing in Colombia, the fruits. Oh my god. Dude,
Is
I
that
feel like
organic there?
yeah. So they don't really know how to use. They don't really know how to use anything. And dude, by law, the cattle here can only eat grass, drink water, and have some salt. That's literally it, like by law. Which is, and dude, I'll put it when I do like where am I gonna put this? I'm gonna make like a pros and cons of Colombia video, and I'm gonna put some footage of it. Dude, the cows here live better lives than the people. The cows are just like on this beautiful grass, looks like the Shire. They're drinking like fresh water from a stream, like in the mountain landscape, dude. Pretty epic.
It's almost like it's at some point when society gets so advanced, it actually starts to decline. Like,
Yeah.
it's like I think about this often where I'm like, man, life, and I'm starting to notice for myself where I'm starting to like simpler shit that my ancestors used to do. Like, I don't want to have a Lamborghini anymore or like have a ton of money. I want to have a farm and like have some animals and like just fucking chill and wake up 4 a.m. and do some farm work and whatever. And like, I'm starting to realize like the stuff that society pushes down almost makes you unhappier. Like all the stuff that's supposed to be advanced is actually making people unhappier. It's making things worse. Whereas for me now, I'm like spending time in nature, eating meat, quality foods, and like I want to go out and hunt. Like it's just like complete opposite what I was doing before is like making me happier. One
Yeah,
thing
as Tim Ferriss said once, he was like, he built like a shed in his backyard, like just to keep some extra supplies or something. And he said that was more rewarding building that shed than it was like doing some of the biggest launches he's done online.
Yeah, it's like I've been getting mentored by Elliot Hulse, and he says like the happiest work that you can do is work with your body and like do like heavy work, heavy lifting, and do some shit that like your ancestors were doing. That's what's essentially going to
Yeah.
make you happy, not like sitting behind a computer and making a ton of money.
And I think there is a balance to be struck too, because there's some things that are great about modern life, right?
Yeah.
You could fly to somewhere to see a beautiful place, travel with your girlfriend. You know, you could throw parties and have like, you know, epic food and whatever. You can construct the life that you want. And also cities are good for banging a lot of girls, if that's what you want to do.
So
And yeah.
so I'm wondering, like, I wanted to ask you during these times, because I see you on Instagram, and like it looked like you were in like some farm, and like it looked beautiful. It was like acres of land. It seems like there's certain interests, and you're sending me videos of like ex-vegans and stuff. So what topics are really interesting in Austen Summers right now that like you're diving deep into?
One that I dove deep into, I'm kind of over now, is raw feeding dogs. And it's so interesting because it's another area of like industrialization that, you know, forced this idea. And if you look back, dogs have only been eating kibble, dry food, for about what was it, 80 years, because they stopped canning dog food that was originally wet for World War II. So the U.S. and Canada, et cetera, they needed, you know, the metal for planes, ships, tanks, et cetera, jeeps. So they had to start using dry food. And people now think that dry food is the only way to feed your dog. But dogs are virtually identical to wolves. It's the exact same species. They can reproduce, have fertile offspring that have fertile offspring. And they've been eating raw meat, bones, and organs for, you know, millions upon millions of years. And only 80 years they've been eating dry food. So evolution doesn't happen that fast. And yeah, if you feed a dog like, and also the pet food that they put in this, lower quality, diseased animals, they get roadkill thrown in there. Most of the time it's like rice, wheat, corn, soy that were the main ingredients. Until recently, now there's so much pushback on that. It's like, and if you think, like, just like any species or even yourself, think, okay, so 1 million years ago, or, you know, 200,000 years ago, would my dog be going out, you know, planting corn that didn't even exist and then harvesting it and making it into a flour and putting it into food and cooking it? No, it's just like it ate an ungulate like a fucking deer or rabbits or mice. And occasionally they eat grasses for like medicinal properties, maybe due to the hormetic effect. You know, like most vegetables, it's similar to the gym, right? When you go to the gym, you're not stronger at the gym. You're destroying your muscles. But it's, you know, it's, what's it? Did I say hormetic? I think that's the right word. The hormetic stressor that makes you grow bigger muscles afterward. And that's a similar thing with some vegetables. Like, for example, kale has so much natural pesticides in it that your body has like a stress response to that. But because it's doing that hormetic stress response, it's actually healthier afterward. Depending on the person, right? Some people can't eat plant foods at all. But yeah, so veganism was a big one. I got really deep into like the science of everything. And I found so many videos that like, so I was so interested in those videos when I found them because I had just finished a debate. It's like every debate argument was like 20,000 characters. So it's a lot of writing and a lot of researching. And then after that, I found these videos, and everything that I wrote down that was like a sub point or whatever was shown in these videos. Lower testosterone, losing hair, losing teeth. Yeah. This.
Fatigue,
So
eyes getting all fucked up. Dude, I went through all of it.
and another thing is interesting in that I'm going to do another debate on this, so I'm not the most knowledgeable on it now, but I will be. So the first debate I did was on health and how we evolved to be omnivores. So we can't synthesize taurine in the body. We need saturated fat for cholesterol, and also for creating testosterone. Vitamin B12 we get from animals. Vitamin D, EPA, DHA, all these things are found in animal food. So there's like 15 nutrient deficiencies in the vegan diet. But also the two other reasons, one is the animals and two is the planet. So if you have this idea that all animals are equal, which some vegans do have, a vegan diet kills more animals than eating one cow. So one cow a year will feed you, will feed me. Eating chickens, you could kill like, one a week. So chicken's probably not the best if you care about animals. But when you make these giant, monocultures of soy, wheat, etc., you have to destroy entire ecosystems. You have to destroy birds' habitat, gophers, like all these different animals, not to mention insects. You have insecticides, you have whatever. Some vegans don't care about the insects, and there's also videos of like these combines when they're harvesting, they're just tearing up animals. So if you have like, and by the way, right now, more people in the US and Canada they consume more in soybean oil than they do in meat per year. Isn't that interesting? Soybean oil, not even the other parts of the soy, but most of their calories are so much from soy that it's more than meat. Yeah, so for animals, it's not the best. Another thing is people have this idea like hunting is bad because it kills an animal. So I have this idea. It's like a rule of three. It's like your first thought about something is wrong, your second one overcompensates, and your third one's usually true. So your first thought with hunting, which I had too, was, oh, just killing a fucking animal so you can have like this ego boost or something. Fuck that. Then my second thought, because of like, you know why there are so many deer, right? It's because we got rid of wolves like all over, like everywhere. So these deer often die of starvation. They die of hunger or whatever, because there's not enough resources for them to eat basically in that area. And also many of them just die because they're being, killed by something else. I guess that's a contradiction what I said. But whatever, the life of a wild animal is tough, and there's too many deer, so you have to hunt to keep the ecosystem in balance. And I think in terms of the environmental, the best thing you could do for an environment is buy food from a sustainable farm. Like, what's that Polyface Farms, Joel Salatin? If you buy food from a farm like him, he has cows, which are pooping into the ground, which gives nitrogen, which gives the plants life. He has goats that are taking apart the rough areas of the farm, and then he can plant things there. And it's this symbiotic relationship, which we've gotten rid of in most of agriculture. Yeah. So in terms of environment, animals, your health, like veganism doesn't make sense. That's one thing that's been on my mind. But I guess this doesn't relate to dating at all. Dude, this is my problem, dude. I'm too interested in things. I get like too curious.
It's still interesting. And I feel like a big part of why you've been successful, also not just in dating, but business and all these different areas, is having this curiosity to everything in life and being able to learn really, really quickly so that you can question your beliefs really fast and then be able to make adjustments to your own life that would benefit you. Right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you this, man, like, what are 3 to 5 books that really, really shaped you, shaped your beliefs, or shaped your life?
So number one, I think Influence by Robert Cialdini just shows you how the world works. So it's called The Psychology of Persuasion, Influence. And it goes into 5 cognitive biases that people have, right? It's like reciprocation. So if you do something for someone, they want to do something for you as well. And a lot of my game is built around that one principle, right? If you give someone such an amazing time, they naturally want to give you an amazing time, right?
Right.
Obviously, there's exceptions of like the 1 to 2% of people that are psychopaths who don't care about like reciprocating at all, right? But you know, in general, it's a great rule of life. And you're going to attract amazing people who are giving as well into your life by that. So yeah, I have a video on this. It's like top 10 books to become a more attractive man. But that, I think that's number one. Ego is the enemy. Really, really important. Like a lot of guys who get into game have some narcissistic traits, right? same with business. So that book helps balance you out, right? Because you know when you are being too bragging or when you are, showing your ego a little bit too much. And it also hurts you. You realize that ego hurts you because you fail to stay the student. That's the most powerful lesson of that book, is always stay the student. Right? And that's one of the biggest things that fucks up people in life, is from getting a mentor in anything, is they think they can figure it out all on their own, right? Narcissistic self-sufficiency bias. And because they think that way, they end up, they end up like getting these little freebies and stuff, and then just trying to like figure it out themselves, but they never actually get the result they want. It's like, dude, I put this in that video on the Colombian farm. It's like, oh my God, look at this guy, dude. He's so fucking pathetic. Look, he's actually learning from someone who's done that before, so he doesn't fall into the same mistakes. What a fucking loser, dude. He's getting results faster than me, but dude, what a loser. He needed to ask for help. So bizarre. And I think you and I both, like, I'd say a quarter of my students are self-development junkies. They're just like, dude, every area of my life, I got someone. Health, fitness, nutrition, fucking dating, business, mindset. They have a coach for literally everything. And funny enough, those people tend to have the best results. They're the happiest. They have, they get what they want out of life. I didn't want to fuck around trying to figure out Spanish myself on the streets, right? I wanted to learn it as rapidly as I could without getting overly stressed out. So, I had two Spanish classes 2 hours a week, and you'd be surprised how fast you can learn. So yeah.
All right. So top
Lopez, get a mentor. Top books: Influence, Ego is the Enemy, Awaken the Giant Within, Tony Robbins, Civilized to Death by Christopher Ryan. He's the same guy who wrote Sex at Dawn. I don't know, maybe Paleo Manifesto. Paleo Manifesto is just so interesting. You understand like why different cultures have spicy food. So for example, Mexico, what are the spiciest food countries? Thailand, Southern China, Mexico, Ethiopia. These places have the spiciest food because they're on the equator, and spice decreases the amount that bacteria can spread. So it's just really interesting.
Cool.
I like books that help you understand, like give you like epiphanies how the world works. Another good one's like Sapiens, right?
I've actually yet to read that. I need to read that for sure. Cool. So last but not least, I wanted to throw some questions at you that my audience gave, just a few, and just it's kind of rapid fire. So basically, one word or one sentence answers first thing that pops into your head. Okay. So first one is tips for boys who grew up without a father figure.
Find a father figure and a mentor, and find out what you'd be deficient in terms of that leadership and that role model, and realize that you could also, it could also just be something that you're gonna live with for your life. So, sometimes it's the answer is not like getting over something; it's learning how to live with something.
Next one, how do I figure out my purpose after finishing high school? I'm a young guy. I have no idea what to do next.
So I don't think there is a specific purpose for someone's life. It's more or less just something that's the intersection of something that you kind of like doing, something that helps people, something that makes you money, and something that, the world needs. Like that intersection of all that, right? It's called Ikigai, Ikagai. And most people, they don't like something and then get good at it. They just start at something and they end up liking it as they get good at it. So don't worry about like, oh, I'm not instantly finding my passion.
Got it. This one says, from the first day you started pickup till now, what's the biggest lesson you gained?
Worry about the other person, giving them a great experience.
How to lose your virginity even if girls can sense you're inexperienced?
Some girls actually like it. I told the first girl I slept with straight up that I was a virgin. A virgin. I'm a virgin. Well, yeah, and just gain experience. You don't have to, it's not just experience with sex, it's experience being with a girl, holding her hand, knowing how to touch her, knowing how to kiss her, and building that up over time to the point where sex is just the next logical step and it's not a big jump for you.
This one says, how can I learn to self-amuse and enjoy myself? It's really hard for me to do so.
Best tip is actually join an improv comedy thing in your area, improv comedy, improv theater, and all the exercises they will give you will help you in that area. Another thing is eliminate a lot of stress and anxiety in your life, and that will naturally come out.
I'll choose this last one. This one's a good one. How does one deal with loneliness?
The problem with loneliness is that it's an emotion that makes you want to self-isolate even more for a lot of people. And when you get rusty, you don't even want to socialize. But you have to take the first step in going outside, looking people in the eyes, saying hello, complimenting people. And then eventually, if you start socializing enough, you get good at it. People want to be around you. You understand what value is for people, and you build out a lifestyle that has friends, girls, family in it, so that you don't feel alone. And loneliness isn't just connection with people. It's connection with yourself. It's connection with nature. It's connection with animals and connection with people. So that's what I also say.
Makes sense. Dude, thank you so much for taking your time, hopping on. This has been a very interesting podcast. We covered a deep variety of topics. If someone wants to know more about Austen Summers, know more about you, ask you questions, where can they find you? Where should they go?
Yeah, so just Instagram and YouTube, Austen Summers, AustenSummers. And I'm putting out a porn convention rampage video soon, so check that out.
I'm excited to see that one. Cool, man. Thanks for hopping on. Appreciate it.
All right, cool.